Hello, hello. Welcome to. I started throwing in the candle. Have you noticed that the last couple of days that I'm like throwing it in there? Okay, hello and welcome to today's live. This is such an amazing process. I just have to include you in my own process. So today we're actually going to start talking about the multidimensional detox, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of updates on what's happening with me overall, like not on a micro level, but on more like a macro level. So I'm noticing the fear of going live in itself is not really happening. My blackouts are not really happening in the same extent. I feel like I'm showing up from a different energy. I enjoy doing the lives in the morning because then I'm coming from this energy. But sometimes life forces me to go live later in the day, and not all days are good days. So that is a very interesting process, and that has started to go better and better. And because I'm doing these things, that because I'm stretching my own capacity inside of these three goals that I set with this project, or for myself, my top three. So because I'm doing one of them, the others are expanding. So, I mean, I assume that you understood that that was how it meant, and I'm not saying that to sound superior in any way, but I catched myself that I assumed that was, oh, now I'm getting a blackout because now I'm like, what happened here? What am I speaking to? Am I offending anyone? Interesting. Yeah, so I'm noticing with myself that because I'm stretching the capacity in one of the areas, the other ones are also benefiting. So it doesn't really matter which one we focus on, and that was the assumption part. But I mean, that can't be an assumption. That is part of the of understanding the process and how everything is linked together. So when we work on one, we are actually moving the others because they are aligned with the whole thing, the big arrow. So you have many small arrows that makes a big arrow, and it's the big arrow that we need to have it aimed in the right direction, and then all the small arrows needs to point in the same direction. So as I am opening up in one, I am sensing the growth in others as well, and so that's why we look at the small arrows and the big arrows. So my main big arrow is to evolve as a human, as to reach my potential, and that I've never experienced. So that unfolding is very interesting to me. I'm very curious. And I'm noticing that I'm getting more and more relaxed with things. I am not as obsessed. So one of the key things that I've been through in my journey, that is the weight issue. And that has been on the forefront of my existence since I was very young. I have no idea why that became the target of my existence, but there's definitely a very clear direction of energy that I wasn't able to process, that was directed back at myself, because that's the only thing that we can control. So that is why the food and the weight is such huge issues for women, because we find ourselves in a situation where we have nowhere else to kind of direct the energy into something that we can do something about, because everything else is out of our hands. And that's a very particular situation to be in. So I'm realizing that that's what I've been going through. And as this process, so me showing up in my body has been the biggest issue of my life, to feel comfortable in my own skin. And I'm noticing, so I dropped 20 kilos into a weight that I felt really, really comfortable in. I felt really, really good. And then I got very sick. I had a lot of health stuff going on connected to all the energetics that was happening in the past 2 years that I've been talking about. So a result of that, the level of stress that I was going through, and the impact that had on my organs, I dropped in weight. And I was also working with the energy, and my body wanted to lose weight. So as I stepped into truth and facing the biggest insecurities that I had about myself, that's when boom, the weight dropped, because it's mostly water that the body is carrying as protection. So it can be fat as well, and it is fat, but most it's a water retention, and that has to do with like low level stress of inflammation in the body, but it has a lot to do with the emotional load that the person is carrying, and that we are using this as a protection or hiding from truth. So that's why we talk a lot about the standing in the fire of truth, because that is directly, that's like really standing in the agony, the digestive fire, the internal fire, and allowing whatever is false to fade away, and really facing that. So it's also hiding behind the weight, and it's a fear of being seen as the truth of who I am, with the insecurities about mistakes that has been made, or things that I believe about myself, or insert different reason. And that is falling off a little bit, because now I have gained 10 back, because I also started eating meat, and I am facing a lot of the bigger things in my life. And then the body is going through this, it uses food and water as so if it's a lot of fire, then we need a lot of water to balance out. So for reasons, the body is balancing out fire. So this goes up and down also in the process. But because the main level of control is pointed at the physical body, and the natural way for the body to move through deep levels of trauma and deep levels of stress is to use the fluctuation as in the waves, because it's a process. It's not a linear. It's not press here, then this. It's not mechanical. The body doesn't work that way, because it's influenced by it's influenced on so many different levels of belief systems, thoughts, patterns, imprints, hormones, the nervous system, and it goes on and on and on. So when the control is like honing in on that particular aspect, then the mind is controlling the process and making it worse. And that's where universal laws and different discussions in quantum physics that explains, why the body is doing that, why it works like that. So I'm noticing that I'm allowing my body to go through these fluctuations without me obsessing about it or turning it into something about myself or hating myself. And instead, I am being very present and I'm observing my own transformation in my body. And I've told you that a couple of days or another day that it feels like I'm growing, but I'm growing in a different way. So I look at the scale and I see the weight is going up. I look at the mirror, I see the weight is going up, but it's happening in a way that I've never experienced before. So it's like I'm looking at my body and it's changing and I'm watching it change without the negative imprint of what I'm looking at. Instead, I'm looking at a body that I trust. It's like I'm looking at someone else because I'm looking at the body in itself, not from a fixed mindset with the lens that's coming from the public eye and media and mean girls in high school. It's like not that. It's not that person who's scanning myself up and down. It's my awareness of myself as a soul and a physical being, and I'm watching it transform in real time. And as I'm watching patterns and not judging the patterns, I can see that, okay, there's something different that is going on this time, because I've been I've been shrinking and increasing in weight my whole life. So I've seen this in the mirror. I'm very aware of that one. So when I see like, oh, it's changing, and I notice my own behavior is changing, and I'm going to give you an example. These sleeveless types of clothes I have never ever worn in my life. If you know me from the past, you have never seen me in this. I know that. And now I wear it because I like it, because I feel comfortable in it. And I watch my arms. So when I was 10 kilos younger, I was about to say, I didn't care about that. I felt super comfortable with it. So for the first time in my life, I started to feel comfortable in wearing these. But as I'm growing, I'm also noticing that it looks different. I can see that I'm bigger. But I'm looking at someone who looks different. It's like, huh. And I'm not in a negative mindset. I'm like just in admiration of how it works, and I don't see an ugly person anymore. I mean, this shift is huge. And instead of freaking out because I'm gaining weight, I'm instead saying, this all is going to balance it out. This is a wave of something's happening now, because now I'm shifting into something that I've never ever been before. I've never been like this before. So I can feel in my whole system that something is deeply changing in how I'm experiencing myself. And that's when I realized, oh, so that's why this is happening. I had to fulfill the cycle and not go into the hate and I stopped that. And as I'm saying that, and then there's a exhale, and the thing that I've been talking about, that I've been sensing in the left side of my hip, If you've been watching from the get-go, that's why I'm recommending to watch in order. You know what I'm talking about. That I feel that one. As I am speaking about this, there's something that is releasing around that. And there's this hate, self-hate and self-conscious. It's like if you're obsessed with your own appearance, I'm going to rephrase that. When I'm obsessed with my own appearance, I'm not receptive for the world. I haven't been focused on my own appearance for a long time, and that has been gradually going less and less and less and less. And then I hit something very deep and that dropped. And then now it's like a residue of something. So this happens so that I can go through this without interfering with the process in itself by sending in false ideas about how things should look, how things should work. Just opinions from the external world. Insert any opinion of how things could work. When I can release that and just allow the body to go through its own process and trust that, then, so as I'm saying this, I'm noticing it's like belief system is shifting. It's like I hear inside behind my ears that it's like as I am speaking to this, because this was not what I was going to speak to today. I was just going to give a couple of updates, and this is where we ended up. So I'm sharing in real time how it works for me. So I can sense that this is a big thing, because I also, before I was getting started, I was feeling super good and happy about everything. And I noticed also that this is doing this is a healing for me. It's like doing it in real time is and the body wants it. So before I do this, I can't really feel good. That's why it's good to do in the morning for me, because it's part of my alchemy process. So before sitting down, I was like, oh, should I wear this? Because I can see now that I can notice that I look bigger. And there's a response in me that like, yes, let's go change. And then there was another person who just sat back down and just, it's all good. Let's just do this thing. And I feel good and I'm happy. It's a complete different life experience to come from that energy into the being of yourself. That is like a huge thing. And those shifts I am noticing big time. So this is okay. So that was supposed to happen. Thank you for following me there. Oh, so now I feel the release in the body. Yeah, so the whole spine is opening up now. So there was a stagnant energy. Okay, so the Kundalini energy just turns on by itself when I spoke the truth and I was in my authenticity and allowing myself to be seen. Enters live on YouTube. You see, you can't make this shit up. I didn't know that this was going to happen when I started 44 days ago, 45. I don't know where we are. This is when things starts to, do you understand what I mean when I say that things starts to get interesting? This is interesting to me. This is how it works. And now it's opening up in the so it's moving on different levels. So there's one energy, you can notice that there's one energy moving like this. So that's the Kundalini energy along the spine that is just swirling like this. So I can feel like I breathe breathe more, breathe clearer. So I just feel, so there's the lightness of being. So many gurus are talking about this lightness of being. This is this is how that feels. So that word comes like lightness of being. Yeah, that's, yes, this is what this feels like. So there's one energy going, opening up the spine, and then there's one energy on this front. So I still have here, it's still blocked. I can feel it, but that's probably what this whole thing is about. The 108 days. That's probably what that is about. So because I'm noticing that it's much up here, it's not as much here anymore. So something's shifting. The arms are feeling okay. So there's the hiding of the arms is the arms. Have I shared about the functionality of the arms and the legs, the energetic, everything has a purpose. So the arms and the legs are here to move you out of danger or fight for your life and survive. And when we go into freeze and we are unable to use any of those, the arms and legs in itself can start to shut down, feeling useless, feeling I'm not. So this freeze, they go into freeze, like, okay, they it's the hopelessness, like I couldn't save. And then you see the face just changed into that energy. I can't. And that's, ugh, that energy is in the arms and the legs. So that's what the hiding is about. Hide that is in the arms and the legs. So when I step out and I allow myself to be seen with no fear, no shame, no guilt, no anything, that energy starts to move. So now it's just, so before I did this, I felt contracted, I felt cramped, and I just felt like, I think it has something to do with alive. I'm starting to realize that this is what it is. There's something cramped up in me, and before I'm all like tense until I've done this. So this is like a every day. It's a heartbeat, and I'm merging into that heartbeat, and that is stretching so many different layers of myself, going into that. And then people are going to ask, so how do I do this? Enters the multidimensional detox. Voila. Okay, so the number one thing, if you have questions, it's Sunday. If you have questions on anything, it's drop them in the, I will drop them in the Telegram, and on Sundays I come in and reply. That's the new deal. Drop it whenever you want. On Sundays I come in and go through everything. So the multidimensional detox, we start with the physical body because that's where I started. No, but that's that it's how to say this. It's so effective, and it just it's a catapult for all the other processes. I mean, there's a reason why fasting and different levels of detoxing with food and herbs and such are in every single spiritual and historic or religious script. It's real. Let's just state that there. And if you have questions about that, there's a million different studies available everywhere. So there's tons of research you can go have fun with if you're into those things. And there's also a disclaimer here. If I talk about anything that I've done, I'm not recommending that to anyone. I am recommending to do it in alignment with you, what you've been through, your type of physical conditions, the state of your organs, the state of your mental capacity, how prone you are to mental illness and how prone you are to different emotional, like how can you handle the boat is going to rock and the water is the emotions, so they are going to go like this. So can you handle that? Or you go work with someone like me, or there's millions of people that you can work with. And I create, and that's what I do. I create the whole structure for all this holistic, this multidimensional detox. You could call me a multidimensional detox specialist, and that is actually very, very true. So the regenerative detoxification process that I've been studying for years. When I got, that was the first thing that I started studying in. So that's the core of my 9-year transformation, that when I left the old and into the new. And from there, so that is like the catapult into the process, because that activates like a domino effect. And as we go along, I've been training and studying everything that has come from there. So that's why we have to start there, because that's where my journey started. And any major like spiritual practice. Okay, so time to tap into another energy. So the spiritual process is activated by the fasting. So there's the food. So this is also, yes, okay, so that's the connection the body wanted to give me. The connection with the topic that I spoke to before, because there is so much control in and around the food. That is the core. And that is what we've noticed over the decade of having our retreat center open and people coming. And we've been observing everyone's relationship with the food. And it doesn't matter. You can have anything. You have nothing in common with each other who's been coming through our doors. They can be so wildly different, but they all unite with the relationship to the food, and that it's not healthy. There's something in there every single time. So our relationship with food is deeply affected, infiltrated, you choose. It can be wildly better. Let's just all agree on that. It can be wildly better, and that is one of the proof that I have since this yeah, and my experience here on the planet Earth. These are my findings. I'm here to report. So when we start to remove the food, all hell breaks loose. You can say that, because there's going to be action on every single layer of the system. Everyone's going to go, what? What's happening here? Some of them are going to go, oh Lord, we've been waiting for this. And some are going to go, we can't do this. This is not happening. So it's like you have different control panels, and they all start yelling at the same time. So it's like, okay, we got to figure out, and that's what we do. That's what, it's very easy for me to see, okay, this voice comes from there and that from there, and and then we have things to work with. So that accesses the process. That's especially true when people come here to the retreat, because then we are observing. So it's almost, okay, I'm only using this as reference. This is not the energy that we come from, but it's like okay, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say it's when we live with people, we see their patterns and behaviors, and then it's very easy to understand what's happening. So it's very easy to help. It's very easy for us to mirror back what is going on. So because it turns on so many different processes in the body. So it's extraordinary. It's really extraordinary. However, depending on how the body is doing, you might need different setups. So that's what I do. It's like I very easily scan you and see, okay, how do we structure this diet? Because we look at what's the result, like what's the status, what's the starting point, how, like what's the starting point, where am I and where do I want to go, who do I want to become. So that's the first, and then we have what it would take to get there, and then we look at what's the resources, how much input can we put, do I have to work at the same time? So that's why people come here at the retreat, because then you can really, it's like making a womp, because it's all about detoxing the past that is holding us back. That is basically, if you're going to look at it as a really mechanical thing, it is just removing the false imprints, the false behaviors, the toxins that the body haven't been unable to process, activate the body's own self-healing system so it can clear out. So just activating the life force. That is what we want to do. Okay, now I lost my train of thought. Yes. So when people are here at the retreat, that can be done in huge chunks. That's like you propel your way forward. And then you can do that in your lifestyle as well, because after the retreat, you're going to have to go back to your lifestyle anyway. So there's not really, oh, if I can't do that, then there's no use. Like, no, you have to do both. But the one that is the most important is to implement it in the lifestyle that you have. The retreat is a bonus. That is, if you are able, then you can level up, like boost the process. But it's at home that everything is done. So it's about scanning and seeing, okay, how does it fit? Because if it doesn't, anyone can do anything for a short period of time, but that's not really how this process works. It's a compounding experience. Life is a compounding experience. Abundance is a compounding energy. So health, wealth, sleep, like all of these treasures, they are happiness, like they are compounding energies. It's like, it's not a one thing, and then it's not a jackpot. It's not you put one coin, you get the three dollar signs, and then it's forever party. Sorry, that's not how it works. So it's about compounding the energies over time. Oh, there's a lot of energy moving through this live, I can tell you that. I have to ground myself a little bit. Yeah, that's what I do. I create that very easily so that you can implement your own structure and process in your own life. So at some point, we look at the physical, the diet. So that is the one aspect that is depending on how. So it all depends, your level of detox all depends on the pragmatic sum of all of the factors that I was talking about. So some people don't need to clean up their diet much at all, okay? But they have tons of stuff to do so there's a lot of people that are into fitness and workouts that have very they eat very well. I mean, everything is super controlled, so there's not much to work on with the changing the diet, because there's nothing wrong with the diet. So the physical body is actually doing pretty good. But then the rigidity of the system and the structures and the it's almost like there's a rigidity of not allowing. There's no nurture. There's just no fun. There's no, it's too strict. So that can be a balance. So that's just an example of how someone can be. So then they don't need a lot. They don't need to go on a juice fast. I mean, they could go on a juice fast, but then that would be in a container where we would do that to shake the water, as I mentioned. Because I want to shake the water. And what is the water? Also, it's the emotions. So I want to shake the water. Because the triggering is the learning, the studying, the healing, the process. That is why challenges is our friends. That's part of the detox. So when we start to do this work, we are moving deliberately into being triggered. So please remember this when you move into this line of work. I'm here to be triggered. This is what my lips are calling for. I'm here to be triggered. And it's my response to the trigger that determines where I'm at in my process. And that's what determines if I'm going to move into success or just go back and repeat again. Because that's how it is. Go back, repeat again until you change the behavior around the pattern. And that's when you move into the next joke. That's how you move the energy. So we move the energy by deliberately moving ourselves into, it's like exposure therapy. We got to look, we can't heal. You got to look at it. Someone's got to witness it. And that someone is us. So we have to look at what we've been through. We need to look at what's happening. But looking at it doesn't mean I have to talk about it. I have to explain it to someone else. I have to da. That's not what it means. But I need to witness it. So that's how it's all kind of tied together. So because it's impossible to explain one without explaining how it's related to the others and how it's related to the big process. So when you look at yourself, you probably know. So I think that, okay, so here's an idea that comes up. So if I talk about the process in itself today, and then I give then I can process, I give the question to my body. So how do I apply? So how do you apply that? So how is this used? What am I going to do? I assume that's like, okay, how can I do? If I want to do this, how do I do it? Based on where I'm at this moment. So that is, I'm going to help you with that tomorrow. I have no clue how, but how that's going to be, because I usually work with someone in front of me. So I've never worked with unlimited people I've never worked with all of you at once. So I gotta come up with a way to share that with you in how to analyze yourself. So we'll see what happens. Let's write that down. So I remember that I'm going to do that tomorrow. So what are we? Okay, what are we going to call it? I'm pretending you're here now. You're going to be, I'm telling you, this process is this, it's something happening because I'm starting to treat you like my best friends, and that there's someone, oh, you're my imaginary friend. Ooh, that is funny and sad at the same time. Ooh. Wow, I think that was big. How to apply the detox process without individual assessment. There we go. Oh, the pressure in my chest is it's something is happening. It's increasing, and then it really, so there's definite energy moving in my chest. So this is such an interesting. Oh, this is so interesting. Can you see what I mean when it's such a multi-dimensional experience for me? if we can talk about me for a minute. Yeah, it's really rewarding. It really stimulates so many aspects of myself, and I've been bored for a long time. So that's the constipation, it's like I have to move the energy. The being, I have to be stimulated. And that is what goes on for you too. You, the being, you has to be stimulated on a core level by the excitement of being alive. And most people aren't. And I was one of them. So now you're watching in real time what I had to do to stimulate mine. This was what happened. This is the key thing that had to happen for me. So to start the process, we will talk more about that tomorrow, exactly how to do. But there's but there's more things I want to share with the intake of the food. Is we're not eating, so if we just say most people aren't eating as clean is a very good word. It doesn't need to be healthy per se, and that's like healthy is like, that's like, okay, who defines healthy? So we're not going to move into that, but we can define clean. So pure ingredients, organic ingredients. So it's about it's so much information in the body when the body is stressed, and we're eating a lot of different things, and we're also if we're the problem with the artificial food and all the ingredients that are in processed food is that the level of information is just consuming the system. It's not enough time to process all the information and all the things that is coming into the system, and that's why we are like this. So it needs to slow down, and it's the same as the connection to the body, the grounding. We slow down, we use fewer words. We need to, okay, let's just, because the fear, if the fear is not real, then we can allow everything to slow down. There's no urgency. We're not in, so we're separating real danger and the survival fear that is just never ending. So we're not moving into that. So when we deal with the artificial, so there's artificial information and there's artificial fear. The artificial fear is not real, it's the fear of fear itself. So it's about slowing the system down. And that's the same thing with the food. The digestion is one of the processes in the body that costs the most energy. So by looking at what is the intake, maybe we're moving into day 2. This is how you do it. You look at your intake as an adult, and you intuitively know what you need to remove. Your body will tell you what you need to remove, or if you're unsure, you can experiment. So can you see how that is 2 different energies? Yeah, I drink like 10 cups of coffee every day and I have 3 spoons of sugar. Do we need to discuss? Do we need to, do we need to call anyone and find out if this is a good thing or not? Probably not. Oh, my main source of food intake is pizza, a hamburger, and cheese. Yes. So it's like we know the obvious ones. It's those we know. And then we have other items that we can experiment with. And that's when you can try and see what happens. Just see what the result is. And also we can move into shorter fasts, like juice fasts. We can do like 1-day juice fast. We can try intermittent fasting just to move. It doesn't have to be related to if you feel like you need to lose weight or not. That discussion is completely removed from this discussion. This is to move the energies, and we want to move the patterns inside of the system that is automatic. I do this every single day because that I know how to do this, so I can keep up with all the stuff that I need to have in check, and they will go unnoticed because that's how good the body is to acclimatize. So it will acclimatize around your triggers. We're going to let this one sink in a little bit because the body acclimatizes and adapts around the triggers so that they won't get triggered. So it's a sort of control, a protection. It depends. That's where they can come from, different energies. So it's a sort of protection, sort of control. It's a way for and it doesn't have to be a bad intent at all. Usually it's just completely unconscious. It's a survival pattern. That's how the body is created. So there's nothing wrong with it. But what's keeping us in a safe space that's just going to bring us to safety. That's going to bring us to not ever feeling triggered. And that's up to each and every one how we want to live. So we can keep on doing that, or we can also shake the system so we can see, okay, what is getting triggered, and then we catch them and we work with them and we release them and then they're gone. That's basically how I work. So we use the shaking up the system. We're changing the patterns to see what happens and to observe, because it's all about the awareness. You observe yourself and pay attention and learn, because it's all about figuring this thing out. Remember, it's the learning the control panel, reading the manual. It didn't come with the manual, got to figure that one out. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're figuring out the manual. And we do that by just testing. And then we also follow people who's done the same, and we're like, okay, did that work? So that's why I'm teaching principles. And then I adapt the principles on you when I have you in front of me, because my experience and the abilities that I'm, it's easy for me to pick up. And if you're drawn to me and the way that I teach, and you resonate with the way that I speak, and you resonate with the way that I'm resonating, if we're resonating, then we're probably a good match. Then I'm a good mirror for you. So that's basically how people work. You figure out, okay, where are we matching? Where are we vibing? And this is a way for people to really figure out if they are vibing with me. I'm giving you 108 days chances to figure that out if we're a good match. And your body will know. So, but you start to remove the things that you know that you need to remove, and then you experiment with with your intuition, and you experiment with what you have, what you believe that you have to experiment with. Or you can start to implement different types of fasting, and depending on what you feel that you need. You can do the intermittent fasting. You can do a 1-day fast, a 2-day fast, a 3-day fast, a 7-day fast. I've done a 40-day fast. I haven't done the 40-day multiple times, but I've done multiple long periods of fasting. And it's not only about the physical, because it activates the emotional and the spiritual. And we're going to talk about that in the next coming episodes. So it's not only about the physical, but when you start doing the physical fasting, the cells start to regenerate. And this is where there's tons of studies. I'm not going to go into that. In the years, I've been explaining that process, but I don't, with ChatGPT, and there's just no point of me explaining something that people have been studying for thousands of years. I'm not going to be able to explain, the exact thing in the body, but I've learned it to a level where I could really feel the process in myself. So the detox, the multidimensional detox process, that is my own. And then the physical detox with the juicing and the fasting, that's just universal. No, it's global. Maybe they're not juice fasting on Mars. What do I know? But it starts to regenerate the cells. And that is how I rapidly started to come out of all of my medications, and restoring my, have I told you? No, but when I was on the steroids, I mean, that was just insane. That was where I learned I had a reference point of, okay, this, because I was like, this can't be it. I had never felt really good in my own body. But I just knew that this can't be it. I was trying to reference everywhere, and just no, people aren't there. I don't think they're feeling like this. And then when I got the steroids, I think it took less than 24 hours. And then I was like, what is this? And that was just too good to not do for a while. But what I realized that I was doing, I was giving the body an imprint of where are we going. So I was stepping out of all my medications, and I was doing this multidimensional detox process. This is what I did. And then I was using, so I think I told you this, but I will remind you of this, that the hypothyroidism that I had with the medication that I had, it was very easy to know when I was having too much medication, because then the hypothyroid turns into hyperthyroidism. And those symptoms are awful. Absolutely awful. So I just did whatever I had to do to get out of that, and realized, okay, it's the hyper. So then I had to lower the medication. So it wasn't that I decided when to lower the medication. It was when my body went into hyper that I had to lower the medication to come back to a regulated state. So that is how I came off. That's how I knew that my body was healing, because I had too much medication. So it's like I had instant proof. And that's when I went to Sweden and had the tests. I think I told you this, that I ran, all the tests in the world every year. And I went back and I did it again. And all the, I mean, they used to be just like this. And I had these boxes of pills every day to regulate it. And then I did this system, and then I came back and it was all good except the protein, because I was detoxing so much. But that's temporary. That's why I'm getting at. That detox is temporary. It's not a lifestyle. It's to clear the system back to balance. It's not a lifestyle, and you will move in on and out of different levels of this. You are doing it purposely, with purpose. And the goal is to find your ultimate lifestyle after that. So we are in a reorganizing state. And then when we are reorganized, then we realize, okay, so this is how it feels to be reorganized. Then I will do like this. So I'm starting to get reorganized. So I'm back on all the meats and all the, I'm back at everything. And my body is loving that. So it's like finding itself home again also. So that's why my body is like soaking in nurture. And that is also why it's expanding a little bit, because I've been deeply undernourished, not because of the detox, but because of other things. So yeah, I think this is it. And I'm 15 minutes late for lunch. So we're going to continue on this one. So we'll see how the process goes. So now I already told you what to do. If you want me to set this up for you, I am offering my one-on-one sessions for $333. In February, they are 111. So take your chance, and you can do like one of the ladies did. She snapped 6 of them, and she's not doing them in February. She's doing them in March. So you can buy them now, use later, or you can just grab one, or you can grab a bunch. And if then we spread them out like once a week or twice a week or something. And if you do that, you can, I give you Telegram support in between. So if you have like, let's say you do 3 and you do 1 per week, then you get Telegram support during those weeks. That's it. Okay. 1313. I'll see you tomorrow.